everybody, we're back. I'm Elisa, and we are talking about the lymphatic and immune systems. And now we're going to continue on with the lymphatic vessels. So there are a number of lymphatic vessels, but let's start with some of the smallest. The ones that we see the smallest are, as you can imagine, capillaries. They actually intersect with the capillaries of, the veins and the arteries themselves. So we call these the terminal lymphatics. Terminal meaning this is the end of the lymphatic like vessels, right? Vasculature. And they penetrate nearly every single tissue of the body because they're there to kind of drain it out, right? So 85%-ish of all of the fluids, plasma, and all that good stuff go right back into the veins. But then there's that 15% that hangs out. That's what's going to be drained out by the lymphatic capillaries. The places you're not going to find them, they're going to be places where you don't really have a whole lot of vasculature anyway. So bones, cornea, cartilage, and then the capillary wall itself is kind of interesting because it's these, let me see if I can show you. So the capillary walls are, this is a single cell, right? You can see this is a single cell. It's a squamous cell, and then down here is the nucleus in purple. So you can see these, and they do this interesting thing where they kind of like flap over, and they actually cause this like locking system, which is really important when we're talking about draining the lymphatic vessels because they don't have a whole lot of pressure. This is a very low pressure system, okay? So that's what they mean by these endothelial cells, like the inside cells, are overlapping each other like roof shingles in a way. And these lymphatic vessels are closed at a singular end, and the cells are they're kind of held in place by what we call these anchoring filaments, which act a little bit somewhere between like duct tapes and like a tent stake in the tissue around them. Um, So the gaps between the cells are actually kind of large, right? Because we really need to soak up a lot of that interstitial fluid, but also it's like big enough to collect that bacteria, which is one of the kind of trapping mechanisms we have. So they're going to be entering through the into the lymphatic capillary in that way. The endothelium, we talked about the valves, right? So when interstitial fluid pressure is high, um, this is when they open up and they allow all of the lymph to flow out of the interstitial, or like, the interstitial is actually, if you have like a tissue, right? A lot of people kind of don't understand that. Like here's some cells just sitting in some tissue. Interstitial spaces are like all of these spaces, okay? And others adjacent. So this is like that slow drain, right? So when that fluid pressure is high, there's a lot of pressure, and these valve-like flaps are kind of like thrust open, and they fill up with this old plasma, this now interstitial fluid, this like going to be lymph. Um, One good way to kind of clear out um, your interstitial tissue generally is going to be by like getting that higher blood pressure, like getting, get a higher heart rate. Um, Also. And then some folks that have constitutive high blood pressure can experience like too much um, leftover interstitial fluid, and that results in swelling, which we'll look at later on, right? So that's a good way to kind of flush out your lymph, though, however, with a little bit of cardio every day. Um, so as you can see here, arterial is bringing that fresh blood plasma and oxygenated blood here. So we're going to drop that all off there in the tissues. And then most of that pressure from the arteries is actually going to force what's in the interstitial tissue back into the venous capillary ends and then out to the veins. But that which is left over is like mopped up or soaked up slowly up here by the lymphatic capillaries. And so that's kind of where you find everybody together. All right, here's just that same picture. So you would imagine, let me see, let me erase some of this so it's actually a little bit easier to kind of visualize, because one of the things that's kind of important to notice is that space, right? Okay, look back in here and let's pick a different color, black. Is that there is this space, right? Like here's a wall and here's a wall. And so there is that space that's allowing for flow, right? So bacterial cells, for example, would be able to typically fit through that as well. Let's see. Okay. So that's kind of it for the lymphatic capillaries. So the next one we're going to be talking about lymphatic vessels. All right. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Bye-bye.